All right, so we finished cutting the second side of our HU100 key blank. We're going to go ahead and loosen the spindle, slide the key out, insert it into our ignition cylinder, and you can see that it turns super smooth. If you had an issue where the key was not turning smoothly after you've completed cutting it and done the 3 passes, you can always insert the key back into the jaw, hit cut, and check the box here for cleanup cut. That'll remove any burrs that may have not been removed from the first pass. So now we're going to go home. We're going to do a standard double-sided. We'll go D for Dodge. We'll select Avenger. 2008, 2014. Again, make sure your code series on your key machine matches the code series in your reference material. If it does, go ahead and select it. This calls for the D jaw. So we'll come down here. You just need to loosen the spindle just enough to be able to spin this to where D is facing up. We're going to go ahead and insert an existing key into the jaw. Have to loosen the spindle a little bit more. Hold the key down while I am tightening the spindle. Just to reiterate, if you're doing all keys lost versus duplicate, you can always use the input tab and input the biddings directly. You can select the code and type in the key code. Or if you like to run your progression at the van versus at the vehicle, you can always come back and, in this instance, put a question mark for space 1 and type in your readings from your Lishi tool or whatever decoder you are using. In this case, we're going to go ahead and hit decode, 1mm decoder, make sure it's clean. All right, once it's done decoding, it'll display the biddings and the key code top left, M1294. Just to give you an example of how the progression works. So if we were running a progression on this versus using lock codes, Instacode, G code, you would put question mark for space 1, type in your biddings that you read with your decoder, search off or online, it does not matter. And if there's a code that matches those biddings, it'll display it on the right. You can select it, and then it'll be back on the main screen. We've inserted our uncut key. Go ahead and close the lid and cut. 2mm cutter. Make sure it's clean. I want to point out that on certain keyways, to be more specific, the H75 and the DA34, I find that the tip of the key likes to flip up, especially if there's some deep cuts on that key itself. The best way to prevent that is once you tighten the spindle here with the key at the correct tip stop location, tighten down this set screw. Snug that set screw down, doesn't need to be super tight, hand tight is fine. That'll prevent the key from flipping up on the tip. Go ahead and remove it. Here is our door lock. And you can see that it turns smoothly as well. So now we're going to come over here. We're going to get our S2 jaw for single-sided, primarily residential, commercial, maybe some old school General Motors. And we're going to swap the jaws to demo that particular jaw. So all we have to do is flip this up right here. As you can see, you can do it one-handed. Slide this out. Slide the new jaw in and snug down this wing nut right here. All right, so now we're going to go back to home. We're going to go to single standard, K over on the right for quick set, large pin, 5 cut. It's going to ask you if you have a 5 or 6 cut, referring to Triton or Ultramax 6-pin quick sets. Select OK. You can see this uses the B jaw shoulder stop. So I've already inserted our existing key. We're going to go ahead and decode. It's displayed the biddings. I'm going to remove the existing key. Grab us a quick set. Slide it up to my tip stop. Try and tighten it down with one hand. Maybe. How about we pause? All right, we're back. We're going to go ahead and cut. Cut. 2mm cutter. Make sure jaw is clear of debris. Clean it off, move the key, and you can see it functions properly. If we didn't have an existing key, again, we can come back and just input the biddings here. An all keys lost situation. And you can also do a plunge cut or contour cut. Your preference under cut shape. I want to point out that anytime you're swapping from one jaw to another, you should always calibrate that jaw before cutting anything. For calibration, you need to remove the 2mm standard cutter from the right, insert a 1mm tracer, so both spindles have tracers, and go to calibration on the left and select the jaw that you would like to calibrate. On the automobile jaw, or actually before you calibrate the automobile jaw, you should do a distance calibration before calibrating all four sides. So you would come to distance calibration, S1, and insert your calibration tool, just like you see here, before performing the actual calibration of the A, B, C, and D jaw sides. Always do your distance calibration first. And you can see on the left it has all the jaws listed that are available. A couple other features, cut history. It's really nice. If you have a customer that calls, lost their key, calls you a week later, lost their key again, and you don't save it under Pulsar Extra Notes, like a lot of people do, you can more than likely find it in your cut history. However, be aware, when you do a update, sometimes the cut history will disappear. It will reset. Trace duplication, I don't use very often. That is if you're duplicating a very worn key and you want to create another worn key, you can do that here. I prefer to cut everything back to code, but that is available if you need. Favorites, I don't have any favorites because I recently did an update. Again, that will also disappear sometimes too when you do a software update. Sometimes your favorites will disappear. On the top right has the menu button. That is where you can go for your software updates, data updates, everything of that nature. If you need to perform an update from using a USB thumb drive, download the software from their website, load it on the thumb drive, swipe up from the bottom, go to the little gear icon, I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. Go to the little 6 dots. The little gear icon is for connecting to Wi-Fi. Go to ES File Explorer. Plug your thumb drive into the back. Find it here. It should display over here on the left. Select it, and you can actually load the software directly from the thumb drive. ES File Explorer is where you go for that. To go back to the Triton software, again, the little 6 dots, Triton's over here on the right. Make sure if you're loading new software from the thumb drive, delete the existing software first. If you have 2 different versions of the software loaded on the tablet, it may cause issues with the access and it may cause it to cut incorrectly. I've had that happen before. So in this case, we only have one Triton icon, so we'll select it. And it brings us back to the home screen. That's going to conclude our demo of the Triton key machine. Hope this helps. We'll see you next time.